Starts with winning your lane, or at the very least, trading evenly in hard matchups. Lycan has the tools to help you do this, and in this video I hope to show you what those tools are and how to abuse them. I recommend learning the Lycan wolf block trick. This is executed by summoning your wolves at the start of the game as you always do, scouting the runes and checking for where the enemy heroes are and even trying to check for a mid ward, and then saving your recast on your summon wolves for when the game timer is around 20 seconds counting down, and then placing them over by the enemy's closer safe lane bounty. You can scout that bounty, and then once the creep waves spawn, you can position them in front of the creeps that are meeting around the in-between spot, in between their tier 1 and their tier 2. It's a very long distance. You can scout the bounty rune on both sides and still meet the creep waves. Start blocking the creep wave very aggressively and guarantee that the first creep wave meets with your creeps under the enemy's tier 1 safe lane tower. And what this accomplishes is it guarantees you a safe early few creep waves, as the enemy does not have a pole camp available to them, and their first creep wave will naturally push against your creep wave, and then you can use that push from the enemy to park the lane right outside your tier 1 tower.
Ding! Not outside my tower, but close enough.
And proceed to lane for a good 2-3 creep waves very safely right outside your tier 1 tower, enjoying things like tower regen, and then obviously the long distance from the enemy's tier 1 will allow you, if the enemy oversteps and you have an aggressive 4, to play aggressively on them with the wolves and some Q Stutter-Step micro.
Is in the bag.
Gotcha, bitch!
First blood! I am the Alpha Wolf.
No, Clock's in trouble.
That's okay, wolves, help him.
Still open my 4.
Kite the link.
Yeah, no, ruin his game.
Enemy spotted.
Looks like I made a mistake.
Motherfucker just led me to my next camp with that feed. I love it.
Look, you know what? We need to talk. All right? Yeah. I'm gonna... Destiny's to rise for this one. Yeah. All right, we gotta talk. Because I think there's this pervasive idea in the community that micro is way more complicated and not worth the effort than it really is, okay? I can dispel this all very simply right here and right now. So first things first, and you should have a hotkey for everything. And I'm talking every single one of your units that's under your control, including Lycan and including every one of the summoned units, should all be at least on one hotkey. You can have multiple if you want, I don't care, but at least have everything on one hotkey. Then you should have your hero, just Lycan, on his own separate hotkey. And then if you want to get really nutty, you can actually make your own separate hotkey for every unit. I don't think this works for the wolves because they're the same, they're like literally the same unit type. So if I hotkey this 5 and this 6, it will work. It won't even work for this localized summon. In the past, for Broodmother, you could have like individual hotkeys per cast, per spider, but then like once the entire the army died, all the hotkeys would get refreshed. That doesn't even work anymore. You can't even have an individual hotkey for each wolf, but I do have my summoned units, like all of my non-Lycan units, on their own hotkey. You can actually, you know, all other units, that is its own in-game hotkey. I guess mine's set to F2. I could hit that as well. I just use 1, 2, and 3. 1 is my everything hotkey. 2 is my summoned units hotkey. And sometimes I do use F2, just as a side note, but I use them interchangeably. I guess it's just like based off where my hand is, muscle memory, positioning, whatever. And then 3 is just my Lycan hero. So that's really all you need hotkey-wise. This isn't like a mechanically super complex, you need like the entire keyboard's worth of mapped out hotkeys or a separate like deck for your Lycan commands. It's not that complicated. You just need 3 hotkeys, in my opinion, to play this hero effectively. I've seen people get away with just 2. Okay, I've seen people just literally just use all units and then just their Lycan hero, and then they just like drag and sometimes forget about summoned units that they have because they don't have everything in a control group. Yeah, I'm looking at you, pro players that won't be named. The main thing I think that people get tripped up on is the ulti, like trying to maximize your damage micro. It's really not that complicated. You just want to make sure you're not getting completely cucked, I guess, by your teammates. So if you have an ally on your team, make sure that this isn't happening where they're limbo lining in and you're like, it almost feels like you're set on a follow command right behind them as they're walking in with their 350 maybe move speed, and you just keep bumping into them. Just make sure this doesn't happen. And your hero model is actually made smaller, quite significantly smaller, when you're in your ulti form. Pardon me here, it's actually always smaller whether or not you're in your ulti form. To make this a little bit easier, your model is smaller. Anyways, the main thing though is like right there, your units all move at the same speed, but Lycan and the ancient creep that you'll have are the main damage dealers. The wolves are there for the slow. So if you can, try to position yourself so that you can like, ideally everything gets a swipe. That's what I call it. It's like the swipe micro. You want to micro your shit so that it's right up in the unit's grill. So like right, and I'll have it moving. I'll have him moving and ideally with boots too, so we can get this a nice, decent example. Let's have tiny, move command, move command, move command. Patrol doesn't work because auto attack. But anyways, so pop the ulti, and you want to like move like this, and you see this red tomato. I'm going to actually try to show you how to use his summon ability, but if you can move to try to like block the unit and get up in its grill, you'll make sure that your wolves are getting attacks with your hero. You're going to get that cripple slow, because the cripple slow does stack. It's a 15% move speed slow, doubled to 30 if both of them get the proc. It's really important. So yeah, that's basically how you want to fight. You just want to get up in the thing's grill, smack, and try to, as every single unit is on my hotkey here, try to cancel the backswing on everything as you register the auto attacks. I'm going to try to show this one more time for everybody so there can be no confusion. This is not that complicated, not that hard. I literally have one control, literally have one control group going, and it's just A clicks. It's A clicks and move commands. Swing, 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 trying to make sure my hero always gets a swipe. Trying to run in front of the unit if I can, if they're moving in very predictable patterns. It's really easy to do with your big tomato or your dragon. Anyways, the unit that I have that is not my wolves, so the unit that typically has an active ability, maybe in this case the tomato, the hellbear smasher, the dragon, whatever, I value all of their abilities. And this is where, if you want to say it gets complicated here. But it's really not that complicated. I just run up, push tab, push Q. And then you don't even have to push tab a bunch again, right? If you've already popped Howl, you could just reset the hotkey back to Lycan if you need to cast Howl by just pushing your hotkey again. Or you could just tab back to Lycan, right? It's not that hard. So just run up. Oops. I'll show you, like, from start to finish, a Lycan kill on a tiny. Pretty tanky target, but he has no items except for boots. Just pop the ulti again. Run up, W, get the slow off immediately. Just keep smacking him. It's tiny, so I don't know if I'll be able to kill him because Craggy Exterior is one hell of an ability. But yeah, there you go. That's how you do it. But what about stutter-stepping, I hear you ask? Well, stutter-stepping is more of the same, and you can do this, I promise. It's pretty darn easy to execute micro. What you do is you have all of your units on that one hotkey like I told you about. You A-click the enemy hero, right? And then this is typically something that you'll do early game when the wolves are actually outpacing heroes without boots. You'll move your wolves ahead of the target even before they issue their auto attack when they reach the unit. You'll move them past the target and then just start moving them where you think they're gonna move. The wolves as in, and this especially applies to retreating targets, right? You can't really stutter step a unit that's just standing there hitting you. But obviously this only applies to retreating targets that are running away, where you're trying to turn the wolves into a crowd control. And you're essentially just moving them in front of where you think the hero's gonna move, and then pushing S on your units to stop them from moving so that their hero cannot pass your wolves. It's that simple. It's essentially just turning your wolves into a crowd control. And if you do it really well, you can make it as powerful as like a 5-second stun with how much movement you can cancel from the enemy. It's absurd, okay? Even longer than that if you're really good at it. It's pretty broken. In this example, as you see, I even tried to throw in some auto attacks. I think I'm getting too fancy with it. I think the more you focus on using both wolves early game to just stop, to literally just micro move and then hit the S button, the more damage your hero and your team will do, and they'll thank you for it, right? If you're trying to throw in wolf attacks and be fancy with it, I think the instances in which you're supposed to be doing that is when you can move the wolves ahead to a location in between trees where it can block and then hold position. That's when you should like hold position or like literally stop on your wolves and just leave him there.
At his core, and I need you to understand this, Lycan is a timing-based zoo hero. That means that you're going to be playing for CS primarily in lane to hit your first major item timing in Helm of the Dominator. Once you get that, the zoo is officially open for business and you become the strongest hero on the map. It isn't super necessary that you like pop ulti and go kill someone. You don't have to go gank immediately, but it is important that you recognize how powerful you are and that you call for a support if somebody's in your lane so you can go kill them. And if there's nobody in their lane, then you begin pushing it. And if there's a team fight happening in another lane, then you rotate to it reluctantly because you don't run as fast with no boots, and you don't get to bring your creep to the team fight instantly with a TP as like a Chen would. But you should send your creep through the twin gate if the fight is happening in safe lane. If you're gonna fight mid, try to set up for mid. Mid is one of those objectives that you should take in advance. And what I mean by this is after you've kicked the enemy out of safe lane and taken their T1 tower, you should then be kind of like farming their jungle towards the mid tower in a way such that you can collapse on their side of the jungle down from their stairs onto the mid tower with your ulti and a strong dominated creep like a centaur or an Ursa. Or like a skeleton creep, you know, the troll warlord summon the skeletons, you can push it and pretty safely pat the tower with all of your skeletal horde. Yeah, it's really broken. You can do dives like this quite easily because the ulti gives you 250 bonus HP at level 6 and hasted movement speed for like 20 seconds. It also gives your creeps that hasted move speed, and it gives you and your creeps a 160% damage crit on a 40% chance. So every auto attack from you, all of your creeps, 40% chance to just do 60% extra damage. It is cracked. That's like not even to talk about the fact that Howl is global, usually around this time of the game, right? This is around like the 8 to 9 minute mark, right? It's gonna be nighttime. Your Howl is gonna be global range. Even 1 point in the ability is gonna reduce their armor by 4. So you're gonna be doing insane physical damage to the enemy. You can do illegal activity, we'll say. I won't screw around with tier 2 towers this early, but T1 towers basically mean nothing, and you can dance around them all you want. With all your summoned units, tanking the tower should be absolutely no problem, so it's really broken. And if there's no tower, T1 tower, in your lane, then you start farming the back camps, including the ancients, the enemy's ancient camp, as well as all of the enemy's side lane camps. Get your neutral item, and then play around your team when your ulti's back up, and when your ulti's not up, you play, like I just said, those camps, and you continue pushing your safe lane. You don't need to go rotate mid. Okay, a lot of Lycan players, they'll take their tower and start rotating mid for the rest of the game. You don't need to do that. Okay, you play the side lanes. You can play both side lanes with the gates. You can take the ancients every minute. You can literally take the ancients, go gate, go take your team's ancients because it's so early on in the game that your carry might not even be able to take their own ancients, right? You can do that and still take a creep wave's worth of farm gold all within a minute. You can have that be your farm rotation every minute. And to the aspiring Lycan player, I would stress after the T1 is down and they don't have their ulti available, to focus on farming the back camps, especially the ancient camps, and then at 20 minutes every game on the dot, trying to hard focus Tormentor. And then after you win a team fight and it's around that game time, it really as soon as you get your Helm of the Overlord and you kill a significant enough hero, you can go take Roshan with your team. I think the main thing to focus on is the timings. So you do want to have your Helm of the Iron Will by like 3 to 4 minutes in the lane. You do want to rush your Helm of the Dominator first item. I typically will even start Crown, Quelling Blade, Branch, and then buy a Tango, set of Tangos with my Bounty Rune Gold. I would say most games I look to do a little something like this. So I start these 3 items, right? You see them in my inventory. Then with the Bounty Rune Gold, I'll grab this. In most games, you do want at least a stick for your lane, so I'll buy a stick at some point in the lane. Sometimes I will start with a stick, right, if it really calls for it, in which case my starting items might look a little something like this, with the Fairy Fire, the stick, the I think double branches, what is this, 100, 475, 575, yeah, and then buy the Tangos with the Bounty Rune Gold, right? Either way, whatever starting item decisions I do, and I have no hesitation whatsoever for eating my branches, when I get low, by the way, just an FYI about that, because it's actually rare that I upgrade to a wand. Anyways, first item you go every game, as I just mentioned, Helm of the Iron Will, and you will want to just straight rush it. No boots, no anything else usually, right? You really just want to rush this as quickly as possible. You can get it in about 2 to 3 creep waves around the 4-minute mark. After the Helm of the Iron Will is when I will start to consider laning items such as boots and Raindrop, by the way, if I feel like I need them. For instance, if I'm against like an Ursa, I wasn't mentioning the matchups that boots are really like, it feels like they're necessary in, but like Dazzles and Ursas, or this fucker, like these heroes that
if they can hit a key spell or if they can connect onto your hero, they will just run you down and kill you. Heroes like those, you kind of just need boots against. Otherwise, you kind of chain feed on a 305 move speed hero, right, without them. So get boots in those lanes, and then raindrops. It's just a nice item to have. It can keep you alive in a lot of situations. And I'll buy this before Helm of the Dominator if I really feel like I need it in the lane, or if I feel like I can get it and then have a nice value item for mid-game team fights, or for early, like for late stage early game team fights. Like usually my first ulti, if I feel like I could, you know, block a significant amount of magic damage for that fight, of course I'll pick up the raindrops, keep me alive in a fight, and then also help me farm later on. It's a perfect, basically like a substitute to what a lot of pros get, which is a Sage Mask, right? Like a lot of pros will casually pick up a Sage's Mask. I am a huge fan of just picking up the raindrops. It's about the same amount of gold, a little bit more mana regen, and it literally just gives you health. So pick up the raindrops if you need them, pick up the boots if you need them, and then go Helm of the Dominator. Then we go into the Helm of the Overlord, just straight rush straight into it. I will actually buy the recipe since it's only 300, and then ship my courier out to the secret shop so that he can complete it there with the ultimate orb, and then just ferry it to my hero, which is usually not as far. So that's a little, I guess, pro tip on that. Get your Overlord, get your Ancient Creep. I'm going to assume it's the Black Dragon for the most part. All the Ancients are pretty darn good. They all have their own, like, call to fame or whatever. You shouldn't feel bad about getting any one of them. But my personal favorite is the Black Dragon just because of how quickly it can push. You can just walk out, throw Fireball on a creep wave, and that'll actually clear the creep wave and get you most of the last hits throughout most of the game before the creeps upgrade to, like, 500 HP or whatever the crap. Trying to think. Oh yeah, luxury items. I highly value Nullifier on Lycan because I typically find that my goal in a team fight is to pop ulti. Say I'm like level 18. I pop ulti, run in with my creeps and my wolves, and then my goal in most team fights is actually to find, like, I guess we'll do Lion. Love how you type in witch and Lion comes up. My goal in a team fight is to usually do a little something like this. What's it called? It's called Glimmer Cape. And of course, let's just throw it. You know, he's against Lycan, so he wants all the support items in the world. Because you don't buy boots and you don't upgrade to wand, it's actually very easy to hold dust on Lycan, and so I'll buy dust as early as after my Helm Dom, right? Like literally Helm Dom 1, and then I'll be carrying dust throughout the rest of the game, even if there's no invisible hero, just because I don't want to get over by invisible runes. Okay, I'm not even joking. I will carry dust. One pack of dust is 50 gold, and that 50 gold to prevent any bullshit invis hero from getting away from you is critical. So it's just a really nice extra thing you can do on Lycan that most other heroes can't, because you are not inventory starved, because you rush one item and you don't even buy boots. So a bunch of stat efficient small items is not necessary, but what is necessary is at least that stick, and then I think a dust for me, for sure. Just I guess my playstyle, I don't know. I highly recommend you carry dust, by the way. A lot of people in pubs make that mistake of not having detection when they very easily could. Anyways, my goal in a team fight is usually do a little something like this, right? And then even if you like, you know, the support's going to do whatever they can to be as slippery as possible, but Nullifier just stops all the support items in the game. That's a fun fact about Nullifier, by the way, in case you hadn't made this connection yet and you've been playing Dota for a while. There is not a single support item, as we've classified them colloquially as players. Force Staff, Glimmer, even Ghost Scepter, although that's like pure utility, even cores buy that shit. Yule Scepter, all of these items just hard fucking countered by a Nullifier, right? Purges the fucking Glimmer, purges Ghost Scepter, purges even Force Staff. People didn't know this, some people don't know this, but like you can't scoot, you know, you can barely scoot. It goes like very short. And then of course Yules. So definitely get yourself a Nullifier if you notice that supports are hard to go on and you need to go on supports because you don't have a good matchup into any of their cores. You can do a lot just by sniping supports at the very beginning of a team fight on any hero. This is like a pro tip. If you're having a hard time gaining MMR and you think team fighting is a problem for you, and you're playing a core that has solo kill potential, go on subs and fights. They're often a lot squishier than cores, and they provide very useful crowd control in team fights. You can get very fed and have a lot of impact just killing a support at the very beginning of a team fight, especially if you can burst them as a Lycan can, right? Just give him level 30, give me this, I don't even need a creep, just walk over, start smacking a lion, right? You're gonna do a lot of damage. You'll have to excuse me in that last demonstration, and excuse me for being so out of focus. Now, I, for some reason, just didn't have my dragon here. Let me show you how quickly you kill a hero like a support lion. I guess he has no items. We could even drop my Nullifier. With your creep, with just your creep, and I guess some levels. actually time your attacks with the Ancient Black Dragon. There you go. Pop Nullifier on him. He's not running away. Whoops. Whoops. Can I click him? Yeah, he's not going to run away from you. So, especially if you get cripple procced. So, anyways, what I'm really trying to get at is that. These items, pretty darn core. I will get an Orchid if I notice that I can be greedy with it, if the subs aren't, for whatever reason, grabbing these, or if there's a more important hero in the team fight to silence, right? Because silencing a sub is pretty darn good, but they can still Ghost Scepter anyways. But if there's a Storm Spirit on the enemy team, and I don't have a clear sign on just going on any subs, or if Orchid's a good game, maybe they have a Storm Spirit, Skywrath Mage, Vengeful Spirit, some crap like that. Lion, or, you know, instead of the Vengeful, make it even more enticing. Just a bunch of heroes that have control that I can very easily shut down just by doing this, and provide a lot of utility to my team by having a silence against these heroes in a team fight. I'm gonna do it. You know, I'm gonna just buy that shit on Lycan, because at the end of the day, my main goal in a team fight is to make sure that when I run into said team fight, that I can do at least this to one hero, right? This is kind of what I'm here to do. So anything that helps me do that in the form of just point, click an item on a hero and guarantee the kill, that's what you're buying. That's why you also see I have items like BKB here, you know, Basher and shit. Anything that helps me run in and just focus down one guy, really important. Assault Cuirass is a luxury item. I think a lot of pros overvalue this item. Just my opinion. I'm not a pro player or anything, but I'm here to tell you that I think this item is a bit overrated on Lycan. Yes, it is very good, but it is more of the same of everything that you already do, right? So it's not going to help me against this. It's not going to help me against this. It's not going to help me against this, although to be fair, you just carry Dust and Glimmer is no problem, right? And it's not going to help you against this shit, right? Although Force Staff isn't that big of an issue because your hasted move speed can't really be kited on Lycan. But the main thing is you can definitely, like, you can get Ghost Sceptered, I guess, if that makes sense. You can get Glimmered, but Glimmer again. You can get Ghost Sceptered, and I want to have an answer for that because it's so cheap. And Ghost Scepter, I think, is a really OP item in this game. So I really like to have at least an answer for that. Yule Scepter, etc. Assault Cuirass just doesn't do that. Basher or Abyssal, these are like kind of bait items, I think, in a lot of games, but they can be correct in certain situations. Basically, if you need the utility of a stun, is really when I'm looking at Abyssal. I'm not looking at it to win the man fight, right? If I can win the man fight, it's usually not because of Abyssal. If I can win the man fight, it's, again, not because of Abyssal typically. I guess I'm really trying to get at the fact that, like, Lycan doesn't have problems sticking to heroes, and that's typically what Abyssal helps. It rarely helps you in the man fight. Yes, it is a stun. Yes, it pierces BKB, but you're not here for that. I don't know how to make it. I'll put it this way. Basher makes a lot more sense after an Echo Saber, which is the last item I forgot to mention that I will pick up as a pure casual item, which is like kind of a smaller version of Assault Cuirass that, in my opinion, is worth its bang for its buck. Right? You pick up a casual 2,700 gold item in the form of Harpoon. You can upgrade it to Harpoon. Did I say Harpoon? You can pick it up in the form of Echo Saber. It's a very fine upgrade into Harpoon, not because you get kited, because like I said, you don't get kited, but because you can have an answer for when the hero tries to initiate their bullshit, right? If they want to do like a little one of these things, you can time it correctly. If I can't do it correctly, can I? If they want to, here, let's do it like that. You want to do one of these, right? You can be fancy with it and shit. It's not because you have a hard time getting kited or whatever, but just it's such an efficient build-up, and Echo Saber's double hit is really nice on a hero that has a built-in Daedalus. So an item that scales, an item that does give you utility that doesn't cost 5,000 gold in the form of Harpoon, I think that can be a fine purchase. Assault Cuirass is still a fine purchase, but again, just more of the same. And then Aghs, I guess, is the last thing to talk about, right? Because I talked about Abyssal Blade. I don't think that's like a hard man fight item on Lycan like it is some other heroes. It's mostly there for if you need the stun. I feel like I should stop talking about Abyssal. Okay, I'm going to stop talking about Abyssal, okay? You're an anti-carry, and that's the main thing you're trying to do. Aghs. I want to talk about Aghs for a second. Aghs is really nice if you have another melee carry on your team. And this could be a mid hero, by the way. There are some mids that run melee carries like Monkey King and shit. It doesn't only have to be like Ursas and Life Stealers. But you definitely want a melee carry because this does set their attack range to melee. Doesn't say that on the tooltip. But whoever you use this on will turn into a melee hero. I guess I feel like I should show that. Let me just show that with my own friendly lion. So this lion, who is absolutely a lion, just got turned into a Lycan and is now hitting in melee range. I promise you this is still lion, right? He's just a Lycan wolf. And that's because Lycan wolf ulti does turn you into a melee hero. So I wouldn't be looking at this as much on like a Drow Ranger core line, like where my safe laner is a Drow Ranger or a Medusa. Okay, I don't want to piss them off, unless I have a mid that can use it. But anytime you have a melee carry, look at Aghs. Always keep that in mind, because Aghs is effectively like 7 or 8,000 gold that you can literally just give to your carry for team fights, and no other hero in the game can really do that. You can get close with heroes like Alchemist, who can give you like an Aghs. They can give you an Aghanim Scepter, but a lot of carries have bad Aghanim Scepter upgrades, or at the very least they have Aghanim Scepter upgrades that won't straight give them stats that help them win a man fight against the enemy carry. But Lycan's Aghs does literally just that for melee cores. So I want to read exactly what Shapeshift does so you can get a really good picture for how broken giving this to your carry is for effectively free, right? You're buying the item and using your net worth to amp another hero up, so they don't have to buy it. So you're giving them 40% crit. That's a Daedalus, right? That's like, I mean, can I show that? So Daedalus's crit chance is 30, right? So this is better than Daedalus. And the damage is 240%. Daedalus's crit, yeah, it's only 225. So this is literally just a better Daedalus without the 88 or whatever damage, right? Just gives you a ton of crit chance. Gives you a ton of health. 450 health, right? How much is a vitality booster? 200, right? 250. So yeah, you just get like almost 2 vitality boosters for free in your inventory. Gives them 1,000 night vision, which is definitely not nothing, especially at night. Obviously, no. Especially when you're going high ground, right? This is, it turns them into Slark, basically, for night vision purposes, which is very powerful. Gives them haste, just for 25 seconds, right? If you're level 25 or whatever, if you're level 28, you'll have the 7-second shapeshift duration, so it'll actually just be a 31-second haste rune that you put on your carry. And they do get the reset from your Facet, so even though it says 25 seconds, like I said, they can extend that duration very easily if they're getting kills, which they're going to get kills with this ulti, trust me. It is just a cracked amount of stats, and it's not really fair, honestly. It's quite broken. Like, this is nutty. This is all not to even to mention that it gives you and them 40% lifesteal, and both of you share it with each other as long as you guys are within 1200 range. Main thing to note is you're just also throwing on 40% lifesteal, and it might happen to save your life, or you might happen to save their life because you also share that lifesteal. It's just insane. This is an insane Aghanim Scepter that boosts your carry, and very few other heroes in the game can do that to this degree in such a direct way, where it's like, hey, if I'm just standing next to you before a team fight starts and you can handle a 1 second stun, a 1.1 second stun, then boom, you just get like 9,000 gold worth of items that don't take up an inventory slot and are very efficiently spread in terms of damage, survivability, and utility. Very, very, very powerful. Consider Aghs if you have a melee hero on your team. Just think about Aghs. Just literally just make a reminder in your brain like, oh, melee carry? Oh, Aghs is an item. It's crazy. Also, I didn't even talk about this because I don't want to talk about this because I have never tried this in a game, but you can actually bite, as of a recent patch, your own creeps. So even if you don't have a melee carry, I don't know, maybe it's good. I don't know. You can still, use its abilities and shit. I'm just letting you know, just throwing that one out there. Just setting that ship out to sail. I guess some final points before I try to round up the video here. In case it wasn't obvious, you're going to go the pack leader Facet. It's the only one that makes sense for Zoo, and if you're doing anything else on Lycan, then you're going a completely different item build as well. So we're not even talking about that. Definitely take pack leader if you're going Helm of the Dominator / Overlord / playing this style of Zoo Lycan. And then, I mean, your shard is one of those things that I think you should get through Tormentor, the second one. Usually one of your supports will buy a shard, the other one might get the shard that you get from the 20-minute Tormentor, and I think you should go for the 30-minute Tormentor and not buy it at 20 minutes or 15 minutes like a lot of pros do. Yes, it is kind of like a Midas, and it does accelerate your farm, and yes, it applies a lot of map pressure, but I feel like it takes farm away from my team. It's not really like a Midas where it creates gold, right? You are just still pushing lanes constantly, and you can just push the lanes yourself with your hero. The shard is a really nice pickup for sure on Lycan. I'm not trying to say the shard is bad. I just prefer to get it with the Tormentor and value my quicker nullifier timing, or my quicker whatever it is that I'm rushing. If you put a gun to my head and force me to say one reason why I think that Lycan is so broken this patch, it's because of a recent change they actually made to Helm of the Dominator, which made the creep that you control, that you dominate, into a creep hero. So it has the same properties as like Lone Druid's Bear, and it's far less affected by what I call bullshit, or like anti-creep bullshit, right? Doom
Enchantress, Chen, they can't take over your creep anymore. You can't Midas it when it's just a non-ancient creep, or if you just have the Dominator. It's far more resilient to, like, the counter bullshit, the hard counter bullshit, the harsh slap in the face that Lycan used to have to deal with like really bad matchups. Those are kind of gone now, basically, and everybody kind of has to play your game. If they want to end your zoo, they have to kill the Zookeeper or just the zoo critters. They can't call, they can't call PETA.